Hey, what's up? I'm Chris McDowell. I made this DIY table in the farmhouse style. The plans came from shanty-to-chic.com. If you'd like to see how I did it, stick around. It's kind of hard to see because there's no lights. I'm making a dining room table for my sister-in-law. She picked some plans out on shanty-to-chic.com, and so I'll basically be following the plans, pocket holes and everything. There may be one spot or two where I have to deviate from the plan. If that's the case, I'll let you know. First thing I have to do is cut all these 1x6s down to 84 inches. So I'm going to square up one end and then make those cuts. What I did was oriented each piece in the way I wanted it to go, with the better side on top, and then I flipped the whole thing over, and now we're looking at the bottom, and I've marked out where I want to put pocket holes. And something else I did, just because I'm a little concerned about these 1x6s from Home Depot warping on me, I got every other one where the grain is curved the other way. So hopefully that'll help cut down on any kind of warping or bowing, although they are already starting to warp. So I'm going to go ahead and put the pocket holes in right now. And with the magic of TV, it's done. About every 13.5 inches I got a pocket hole, and then one on each end. Alright, next I have to cut a 2x4 to go along each end. But I don't like the rounded edge on the 2x4. You can imagine that food will fall in between that crack. So what I'm going to do is cut the rounded corner off, and then I'm going to plane each piece, just skip plane through the planer to straighten it up. Alright, so I planed down the faces and the edges of this board, and I'll need to put a couple of pocket holes offset to one side on both ends. Alright, I've got the two sides attached, so now I just need to screw in all the pocket holes from the side into the 2x4. And I've obviously got some bowing going on here, so I'll need to pull that tight. I'll probably end up using a clamp. But first, let me take care of my child. And I'll finish it up off camera. I've got two 4x4 posts, which were kind of hard to find at the home store, but I had to go to a couple of towns over to get one. But I'm going to square up each edge, and then I'm going to cut all the pieces out that I need to length, and then I'm going to plane all the pieces, and I'll see you when I get done. They were pretty bad, and they're still pretty bad. They have a lot of knots so I'm going to have to try to, here's a big gash taken out of this one. So I'm going to have to try to position them and work with them as best as I can. But now I need to go ahead and join them all together to make the base. And what I have to do with these 4x4 posts is take one of these, and one of these, and this will be one side. I make two of these and then join them together in the middle with this one. The way I'm going to do it is dowels. The plans call for a Craig HD jig. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a Craig HD jig, and I don't have one, and I don't plan on buying one, so that's why I decided on dowels. And this is how I'm going to make sure everything lines up, all the dowel holes. I found center in the length of this piece, and I found center of the width of this piece. So I've lined the two lines up. Now what I'm going to do is take my pencil, if I can find it. So what I'm going to do is take a pencil, and I'm just going to draw two lines where I want the dowels to go. And I'll transfer these lines down the face of this piece and down the end of this piece. Then I can take the dowel jig, line up the lines, and I've got two perfectly centered holes in the face of this piece, and then I'll have two perfectly centered holes in the end of this piece, which should match up together. And then for the piece that goes on top, I'll just line it up, and then I'll draw two lines. I'll just move those lines also onto this piece. And then I'll transfer these lines onto this edge and then down here, and use the dowel jig, and then those two pieces will line up. And then for the piece that joins onto the back, that connects the two assemblies together, take the top off, mark center on it, which I'll line up to the center line on this one. I'll transfer those lines, and then I'll transfer the lines down this edge, and I've already transferred them onto this piece. Use the dowel jig, and then everything should line up. I'll just have to do it one more time on the other side. Alright, I've got dowel holes cut and everything. But first, before I can glue anything up, I have to cut a 45-degree angle out of this edge, and the other side of this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Like so. Apparently the dowels are a little bit too long. Now I'm going to take these foot pads that I cut out and attach them to the bottom of each leg. What you doing, girl? I've got 5 more 2x4s, and that's the last of the wood I need, and it's all going through the planer right now. Oh yeah, there's a there's a Craig screw right there. No wonder. That ain't gonna work. I'll have to drill right in the middle. Anyway, my goal is to get 2 dowel holes in here so that I can attach this top piece. Once again, because I don't have a Craig HD jig to go from the bottom side here. Plus, I don't want any pocket holes showing from in the 4x4 posts anyway, so that's why I'm doing dowels again. I ended up adding a couple of screws so that I could free up those 2 clamps so I can move on to the next step. I've pre-drilled all of the angle braces, which will go like this. And I've got a couple of screws going in the first one. So I've got my marks here. I'm just going to line up the tip of the screw right in that little hole. That's 1 out of 12. So I got to do 1 on each leg and then 1 on the top. I'll be joining the tabletop on this, just like I joined the tabletop on the 2x4 bench I built a few videos back. I'll put a link to it in the description box, but basically I cut some grooves and then I made some little brackets that will slide in and then attach through a screw right here into the bottom of the tabletop.